In a career spanning more than 50 years, the Queen of Soul has quite the legacy. 44 Grammy nominations and 18 wins to her name. Mark Bannerman is a music journalist, and I spoke to him about her life and career earlier. Mark, good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Aretha Franklin, what has made her so special, so great?
How long have we got, Stan?
Well, it's the voice. I mean, obviously the voice, but it's more than that. There's a lot of great voices.
Yeah, it is. It's the capacity to cross genres, to cross race, to bring the entire world, if you like, of pop, rock, gospel, soul, blues together in one focus, in one voice, on one song. She could sing a blues song, a gospel song, and then she could sing a song that would be utterly pop. I mean, how does any one person do that? And how do they start doing it in 1967 with all that was going on, riots, political ferment, all
racial tension
in
the country. Let's go back to 1967, and it was such an extraordinary year in music in general. But what put her there? And could this have been a career that never really started?
No, absolutely. I mean, there she was singing gospel songs in her father's church. People started to notice her, and then they started bidding for her talent, if you like. Berry Gordy from Motown wanted to get hold of her. No. John Hammond, who discovered Bob Dylan, nails her to a contract. And for 4 years, she languishes with CBS.
Why?
Well, they just can't find the right songs. They don't understand what we've just been talking about, which is obvious now, but wasn't so much obvious then, that she is this extraordinary amalgam of forces going on. And it takes Jerry Wexler and the Atlantic Record Company to say, OK, let's take this girl who was born in the South.
Ah, it's back to the South.
Yeah, and then she grows up in the North, but let's get her back to the South. Of all things, with white musicians in Muscle Shoals at the Fame Studios, and she goes in there and he says, we're going to have these crack musicians. Now, he might have just said, OK, they're going to play and you're going to sing. But he sensed in that moment, as she lined up to do this song, Never Loved a Man, that she was a bit nervous. So he said, play the piano, Aretha. So she sits at the piano and suddenly everything comes
she's
together.
Back in church. That's what she would have done at church. She'd have played the piano and sang.
Exactly. And so it's like splitting the atom at this moment. Suddenly, bang. And Spooner Oldham, who's sitting there going to play the piano, he moves to another instrument. And everybody just goes, wow, this is really something. But then, not very long after, they start trying to cut the second song. And a massive fight breaks out, basically. And Rick Hall, the guy who runs the studio, has a fight with her husband. And basically the husband says, that's it, we're not doing any more. So Jerry Wexler's sitting there, and again, so the career could have stalled. Because Wexler says, no, let's move the sessions to New York. And so again, another sort of cultural element is added to it.
And was there something in the air then? Is there something about that time? Because, you know, you've got Jimi Hendrix, he's broken in the UK, but a black man who had to go to England.
And Otis Redding.
And Otis Redding, of course, as well. Suddenly these are black performers who were not on the segregated race charts, as they were called.
Absolutely.
But they're on the mainstream
Well,
charts.
see, even the charts were segregated, as you say. And so with Aretha, she comes along and she does the first song, then she does the rest of the album, and she picks Otis's song, Respect. But she turns it into, essentially, well, an anthem too, for respect as a black woman, whereas he had done it as a kind of lover's plea.
What you want, whether you got it, what you need, baby, you got it. All I'm asking you is for when you get on it, baby, when you get on it, boy, do now.
So you've got the triumvirate, Otis, you've got Hendrix, you've got Aretha, and they say to the world, black music matters and it's in the mainstream. Stand back. Black is beautiful. That's what they're saying.
So what sets Aretha apart from other great black female voices? You know, if I'm thinking, you know, Etta James, or if I'm thinking Nina Simone, or before that Billie Holiday, fantastic singers. Motown, there'd been some success with the Supremes and others as well, but what is it about Aretha?
She's uncompromising. See, not that Nina Simone wasn't, not that Billie Holiday wasn't.
But idiosyncratic they were, weren't they?
Yeah, and in the end, she was at the right moment of ferment, cultural ferment, and she was the person there. And she had, in the sense, people with Aretha became quickly colourblind. You see, with Nina Simone, you could not be in the same room and not know that you were white and she was black. With Aretha, it was a bit different. She just crossed that barrier, and it was the right moment.
But
in
never
time.
stopped being a
no,
black singer. There was definitely a black voice.
No, she'd go back and sing gospel like nobody else could, and she kept doing that. But she'd go and play with a member of the Rolling Stones, for example, or anyone else. And, you know, when you think about it, her career had so many ups and downs, like that first session. There she was in the 80s, languishing. People had kind of forgotten her. And suddenly the Blues Brothers come back, two white guys essentially, and saying, I want to play black music. Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and they say, who are we going to pick out? And they pick out Aretha to sing Think. You know, everybody suddenly realises this is the talent we've forgotten.
Then she has the second act, doesn't she? She's singing with Annie Lennox, she's singing with George Michael, and there's a whole new audience.
But you notice white people.
White people,
see, all the time, she was colourblind. She brought everybody together. And she said, America, and it's a bit like Australia today, America, black music is the heritage for everyone. White and black.
And I want you to hold that thought, because we'll come back to that just in a moment. But personally as well, while she's having this fame and she's having this extraordinary success, it's a tortured life, as so many of these lives are.
Well, domestic violence with her husband. She obviously struggled with that whole notion of crossing the divide. She's a rich woman, you know, very wealthy, very talented. But because she had grown up in that era, she also relied on men to pilot her career. So she's struggling with her racial identity, her femininity and her place in the world, and the whole notion of being the Queen of Soul. What a weight to carry.
She gave us that final great performance, or the one that sticks in my mind as a late great performance for Barack Obama, which pulls together all of the things you were talking about. The wonderful cosmopolitan mix that is America, the wonderful breadth of American music. She walks onto the stage and she sings for the president.
Yeah, well, there you have Carole King sitting in the audience, and she has written the song that Aretha also made famous, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. And Aretha goes into this song, and then you cut to Obama, and then you cut to Carole King, and she is just blown away by hearing her yet again sing this song.
When I knew I had to face another day, oh, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind, but you're the key to my peace of mind.
But what does it tell us? It tells us that a young woman from the south of America who has crossed racial lines, has culturally sort of blown the world apart, but she then teams up with a woman with Jewish heritage, her roots in European music. She sings her song and the whole of America is transformed and comes together.
And sings it to the first black president of America.
Absolutely. What an extraordinary situation. What an epitaph.
Yeah, what a great life. Mark, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh,